This might be hard to believe, but I'm more of a Gabumon fan, so we're gonna have to see what all this hype about this Agumon fella is all about. This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs. Hey everyone, Egman here with another video. And today we're going to look at an Agu-bond Bond of Bravery deck. I've definitely been more of the other bond, the Agu-bond deck lover, but just because I like blue a little bit more. But I have tried out this red deck, and I think there are some fun things, especially with the new star decks finally coming out in North America. There's some new tricks, and honestly, I think this makes the deck a lot more viable and consistent, which is really nice. So I want to go over that today. So first, we're going to look at the eggs, and I think 4 Demi-Meramon is the way to go. You normally don't get more than 4 Digi-eggs every game anyways, and just the consistent buff from this I think is worth it. Just as a simple one attacking when this Digimon attacks a player, it gets plus 1k DP for the turn. There's a lot of good benefits on a lot of cards that can benefit from this 1k boost, and we do a lot of aggressive swing into our opponent anyways, so I think this is just the one to go. And again, I do just like having 4 just to consistently have it, and there's rarely a time that we have more than use more than 3 eggs, let alone 4 eggs. So I think we're having just 4 eggs of that will be fine. Moving forward, going through our rookies, we do have 4 of the Bond Agumon. So this has all turns when you play Tamer with Tai Kamiya in its name, you get to gain 1 memory. So that's fine. The sequence you really want is the other way. Already have the tie out and then raise this up. Also has an inheritable that your turn when this Digimon is Agumon Bond of Bravery, it gains Security Tech +1. So that's also fantastic going into your dude. Honestly, if this was instead being able to restand it like you could do with the Gabumon one, I think that'd be way better. But Security Tech +1 is more on brand for what red does as a color. And it is an Agumon, so that is good for us there. Moving on, we also have the Agumon from BT1. This is just the alt art for it, but it's the one that you're able to look at top 5 cards and then add 1 Tamer to your hand. It doesn't have to be a red Tamer either, so that's kind of nice there, which is important for a little bit. But it's also just an Agumon, which is great. It has an on-play effect, which also is important, which we'll see in a little bit. And we do kind of need to find our ties just to get into our bonds anyways. So I think this is a fantastic rookie for you there. Moving on, we do have 4 of the other promo Agumon. So I think this is from like box toppers from BT1 or 1.1. All it really is, it has a Great Inheritable that, this Digimon has Greymon in its name, it gets plus 2k DP. So that just means that, if you have a 4k Greymon, it turns into a 6k. And then if you also are swinging into something, it becomes a 7k, which is pretty chunky. And just getting over generic 6k blockers are fantastic for a deck and kind of archetype like this. And the name is Agumon, which is important, as we'll see later. So all of this is very, very good. And I think these are probably the best rookies for it. The Tamer one is probably up to you. You might not need it as much, but I do like the consistency and helping to find the Tamer you want. So that's my choice there. We also do have 3 of the Agumon from the new starter deck. It just has an inheritable. Once again, when this Digimon attacks, the player gets plus 2k DP for the turn, which just means that it's a slightly better version of the Agumon here. And maybe you should do like a swap here, have 4 of this guy and 3 of this guy, just depending on what you do. It doesn't really matter too much either way, just because this gets the 2k boost no matter what. This is only when swinging into players, but just between both of these, you get a 3k boost, which is nice for you. And once again, its name is Agumon. And then our last 2 rookies are 2 of the Strabimons from BT4. Looks the top 3 cards of your deck for a hybrid Digimon are a Tamer. It does specify red Tamer, which is it's fine. It's fine for what it is. It's not really too big of a deal. And it can find hybrids, which includes itself and some other cards we'll see on the way. Not incredibly important, I feel like, in this deck, but if you want to make sure that you see your Tamers and you find that your Tamers is so important, I think this will help you out there. Moving right along, going into our champions, we do have 4 of the promo Greymon. This can just get a whole lot of pressure on your opponent. When you have, on your turn, Well, this Digimon has an AguBond evolution card, gains security attack +1, and then that is just great. It's a 5k base, so if you get the Demi-Meramon, that is a 6k, and then also if you get any one of these two Agumons underneath it, it just becomes an 8k security attack +1, which is fantastic for just how cheap it is. It's a Greymon, which is great for other reasons we'll see in a second, but I do like this card a lot, and it helps you out with everything you're doing, and just puts pressure. Like, it just, being able to get 2 checks off of something that's such a low commitment is fantastic. Moving along, we do have 3 Geo Greymon, so this came out of the new starter deck as well. Security at the end of battle, play this card without paying its memory cost. So just the fact that you can play this card from your security for free is great. And then also on play, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4k DP or less, which pretty much means pop any rookie or lower. I guess not lower because it's rookies, but any rookies that your opponent has, and it has the word Greymon in its name, which is fantastic, so it can get the boost from the AguBond here. Obviously, you can get here too, and there's some other benefits from there, as we can see, but fantastic for that. Digivolve for 2, you can also just hard cast this for 6, which is a little costly, but you can pop something as well. If there's, a way to like squeak in some extra version of like giving something minus 1k or 2k, that'd be great, because red's normally just a color that says, minus, if it's lower than a certain amount, not doing the minus, because that's yellow's identity, that's fine. But if you can find room for a 4th one of these, I don't think that's a bad idea, and it just makes your security stronger, and can, honestly, free playing these guys from security can win you the game sometimes, just because it's another swing and you can get some potential there. And then lastly, we have 3 Agunimons, just for that little extra amount of swings and pressure. Being able to Digivolve on top of a Tamer to do that last swing can be very powerful, especially when you're just committing a lot of small dudes anyways. Just being able to do this is great. Once again, it's searchable with Flamemon as well. And you can also Digivolve this on top of this Agumon, and then it just, it becomes a 7k and then 8k with Demi-Meramon. So I think that's fine. If you don't have 4 of this Agumon, if you only have like 3 or 2, I'd still run these, and then you just max out on the starter deck Agumon and kind of go from there. But really good, just great for ending games and helping you get there. We don't run any champions on this list because that's kind of how bond decks work. But going into our level 6s, we only run 2, and they're Mangudramons. And this is, I've seen some people run these, some people not. I like running 2 for just some matchups, especially since you get so aggressive sometime and you have to discard 2 cards from your security for your bonds effect. I feel like this can save you, especially since we have some pretty strong security, as you'll see later on in this deck, and that can just help you out a lot. So I do like Mangudramons at 2. It doesn't get anything other than just being able to play this dude for 11, and then it's a big 10k that your opponent might have a hard time getting rid of. And you can start swimming with it next turn. But it can also it's pretty much like the only defense that we have in our deck. Because spoilers, we also don't run blockers. We just want to make sure that our security is super duper stacked to potentially just pop our opponent's cards for free. Going into our level 7s, surprise, we're playing Bond of Bravery. What a surprise. I don't have 4 right now after opening like 8 boxes. I only pulled 3 somehow, so I'll have to buy a 4th one in a sec. But anyways, this guy is great at putting a lot of pressure on your opponent. You can use this tie, which we'll talk about in a second, to cheat into it. But when attacking, if you have a Tamer in play, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 13k DP or less. This isn't once per turn, but I don't think there's any way to restand it like you can with the Gabumon one. But also your turn once per turn when opponent's Digimon is deleted, trash the top card of their security stack. So that's not only... I feel like it should be the other way around. The one attacking should be once per turn, and then the your turn, it should be not once per turn, but just being able to swing this in is great. And also, if you swing in, pop something, and your opponent only has 1 security, and you trash it, this will be a swing for game as well. So just a little just kind of ruling edge case there. But a fantastic card, puts a lot of pressure on your opponent, and feels really good. Next up, we have our Tamers. So we definitely want to run 3 of our tie Tamers. This card just enables the deck and is part of the reason we run so many Agumons. But it says, when one of your Digimon with Agumon or Greymon and its name moves from the breeding area to the battle area, you gain a memory and draw a card. And then also Digivolve your Agumon into 1 Agumon Bond of Bravery in your hand for its evolution cost, ignoring its level. If you do, trash top 2 cards from your security stack. Then if you have 1 or more security, delete the Digimon at the end of the turn. So this can just get you a lot of draw and memory. Of course, it's like every other turn you do it, but you're going to be raising Agumons anyways, and being able to cheat into this guy is fantastic for you. and it's just a, the lifeblood of this deck. We're also running 2 of the Marcuses. This just lets you set your memory to 3 at the start of every turn. It also has your turn when you attack with a Greymon. You may suspend this tamer to gain a memory. So just being able to do that, and that's part of the reason why these Geo Greymons are so great, because you can make it so they come out to free from your security, and then you can swing at them. And with this, you go up to 4 memory. If you had like a tie-in Scooch, like you can get a lot of advantage and a lot of memory with this deck, which is great because that's normally not something that red can do very easily. But with all the Greymons that you have and the ties being able to get the additional memory as well, I think you can get some pretty large memory plays and still keep it your turn. Lastly, we run 2 Nokias. This is my own kind of add to the deck, but I think it's great for what it does. I feel like already that playing these Greymons from your deck for free, from your security for free are good, and so having these Nokias that more or less do the same thing. Just on play, you may play 1 Agumon or Gabumon from your hand without paying its memory cost, and you can play. If this gets played from security, you can go from there to there. And then when Digivolving one of your Digimon to Digimon with Garurumon, Omnimon, or Greymon in its name, you can suspend this tamer to reduce the devolution cost by 1. We have a bunch of Greymons, and so if your opponent just memory chokes you to 1, you can Digivolve into this Greymon, still suspend the Nokia to gain the memory back, or reduce the memory, and then you can still have it your turn. And then, I don't know, there's just like a lot of cool interactions with that as well, and I think that's great. It doesn't help you going into the bond, unfortunately. Making that one more cheaper would be broken, but I think getting that, being able to free play a card from your hand is good, especially since you can do that when this gets hit in security, and there's some other cool things about it as well. So I like the card. I'm running it 2. If you guys don't like it, maybe put in a 3rd Marcus, but I implore you to try it out and let me know what you guys think about it. Next up, going into our option cards, we do have 3 red memory boost. This is from the new starter deck as well. Active main, you get to reveal the top 4 cards from your deck, add 1 red Digimon from it to your hand, and then put the rest of the bottom of your deck. And then also main delay, you can just pop this to gain 2 memory. So this is just another way for the red to get memory, and consistency and card draw, which it normally doesn't have anyways. Just a huge boon for the deck. You're able to find like a missing piece besides a tamer, unfortunately, but if you need to find those bonds, you can find them a lot easier if you want to find these Greymons. If you want to get 2 extra memory next turn for a big play, all this is good, and it's fine for hitting in security because it just gives you 2 free memory for your next turn. We do also have 2 Trident Revolvers. I think that this card is fine. You also might want to run the 7-drop option card from the starter deck as well that pops. I believe it's 8k worth of DP, might be 7k, but I think that one is fine too. But I like Trident Revolver just because we're running so many Tamers. For 6, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon of 6k DP or less and play 1 Tamer card with play cost of 4 or less from your hand without paying its memory cost. So you can do Trident Revolver, and then you can pop down a tie, and then go from there. And this can be during your opponent's turn. Also, if it gets hit in security, being able to pop something in security is nice. Being able to play, like you can do some silly things. You can do Trident Revolver to play Nokia, which will play an Agumon from your hand. That's a lot of like sequencing for it, but that is something that's possible. And I do like that potential for that as well. So I think it's cool, and it's nice, and kind of go from there. And then lastly, we do have Gaia Force for 4. This just helps us have a really strong kind of way to have a good security. And we have so many ways, once again, as you've seen, to gain extra memory and make it so this 8 cost isn't too inhibiting for us. So I think it's a good card. And we've, since this card came out, since set 1, Gaia Force and Security is like one of the best hits in the game. And I think this will help the deck out as well. Being able to find more of them with Magna goes from there, and that's about it. So here is the deck in full. Also, if you guys want to see the list, it's going to be a link in the description. But I like this idea of it. I do like a lot of the consistency that the starter deck added to it, specifically the red memory boost and the Geo Greymons. I think those are just great hits. And these Agumons too, that helps out the deck too. But I think that is it. And I want guys to let me know what you guys think about this as well. But I really do like it. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it.